Hi, I'm meteorologist Tom Atkins. This is another edition of Weather Academy, and we're going to talk a little bit today about weather forecasting methods for the winter. I'm going to specifically zone in on La Nina, El Nino influences. And of course, there are others that we can use. We'll touch briefly on that, but I really want to hit this ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation, what that means, because you hear about it in the news a lot. So you can have three different phases. You can have El Nino, which is the warming of the Pacific Ocean, the Eastern Pacific, east of South or west of South America, down there in the Southern Hemisphere. You can also have La Nina, the opposite, the cooling of the Pacific west of South America. Or you could have neither, which is called a neutral, ENSO. So let's go from there. And you can see that this has been happening for years. In fact, it dates back, El Nino, to hundreds of years ago. And what happened was that Peruvian fishermen, again, we're talking about South America, would see during some years their fish swim away and have a poor fishing season just before Christmas. So what would happen was they called it, because it happened near Christmas, the Christ child, or the little one, El Nino in Spanish. The fish would be swimming away towards the cooler waters because the waters would be warming. And again, this whole pattern can go from warming to cooling over time, and when it's right in the middle, it's called neutral. So you've got El Nino, you've got La Nina, and you've got neutral. So that's this southern oscillation that we're talking about. And basically what it is an irregular pattern of winds and those sea surface temperatures that those Peruvian fishermen witnessed hundreds of years ago. And it's located in what's called the tropical Eastern Pacific. Again, west of the coast of South America, in countries like Peru. And it's affecting climates. It has the most effect in the tropics, where it's closer to, and the subtropics. So the deal is for us is that we don't get as much of a direct hit from this kind of circulation. Now, here's another thing, and this is another descriptive term, kind of a $64 meteorological term called a teleconnection. It's a linkage between weather systems and atmospheric circulations like the ENSO from their location to other parts of the globe. Teleconnection of, in this case, this year, what's going to be a La Nina. But let's do El Nino first. So you've got this warming way down here. Well, how does it affect the United States in general? Again, it's going to have a bigger effect in places in the subtropics and tropics closer to where that warming occurs. But for our purposes, from a temperature standpoint, it brings warmer air, this is El Nino, to the northern United States, and cooler air in the south. We're not in this phase right now, but we have had, when there's been a strong El Nino, some very mild winters. In other words, way above normal temperatures. And look at this, below normal precipitations. One I can remember, back in 82, 83, Erie only had in the 40s inches of snow. I believe it was 41.7 inches. People were playing golf during the Christmas holidays. That was an El Nino, a strong El Nino that reached up into our backyards with a warm and very less snowy winter. But let's talk about what happens when we have the opposite cycle and when the flowers aren't popping up during the winter. That's La Nina. And that's what we have going into this winter. Well, how does that affect the United States? In this case, the colder air is displaced into the northern plains, not really close to us. And the warmer air is kind of creeping up from the south. Again, this is La Nina, so this is a cooling of the Pacific waters west of Peru and South America. La Nina from the precipitation side, a little bit wetter for our region and drier to the south. So this is the potential coming up for this winter. Let's show you how it goes. Again, ocean temperatures cooler than normal in South America. It builds a big high-pressure ridge on the western United States, drops the jet stream into the south, and you can see that we're in the curve here, and this is the troughiness, the low pressure, the disturbed weather. So we can get wet, but we're not really warm. The cold air is back here. So what you can deduce from that is the fact that you're probably looking at maybe a little bit below average snowfall and maybe a little bit above average temperatures. In other words, a milder winter. But we're going to have a winter weather show on Jet TV, Fox 66, and YourErie.com coming up in November, where we'll really get into that. Other methods, well, how about the woolly worms? You know, you can get all black woolly worms, which would indicate a very cold and snowy winter. You can get shaded woolly worms with maybe a bad start, a mild middle portion, and a colder ending. But what happens if you get two different woolly worms? A lot of people really put a lot of stock in that. Just another method that some use for a winter forecast. So again, we've got El Nino, La Nina, and we've got La Nina this winter. We've got woolly worms. We've got the analog method, and this is what we were going to use in our winter weather show coming up. That's when you look at years in the past that had similar weather patterns in the preceding spring and summer, and then you look at what kind of winter weather followed those. And again, we'll be using these in our winter weather show as well. But the main thing for today, La Nina, the cooling of the Pacific waters, which when we had the last La Nina, it was 2016-2017 winter, and Erie got 78.6 inches of snow. Normal is around 100. So that last bout with La Nina did produce a milder winter. We'll see if that's going to be the case. We'll take a stab at it. We'll also take a stab at our analog methods and other things that can influence winter weather forecasting. And of course, we'll be doing that over the next couple of months. And right here on Weather Academy, we will bring you more information on what we think the winter is going to be like. Historical winter weather in Erie, PA, that's always very interesting. And what's going on down the road as we head into next year. Thanks for joining us here on Weather Academy. We appreciate your support. We'll be back next week with a whole nother topic. Take care.